Hi there.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Yay.
We got a question come into our channel about how many people are starting to wake up, starting to become aware of the fact that they don't like where their life is at. They're having trouble dealing with the intense anxiety and stress that's beginning to build, and having trouble going to work and dealing with the regular day-to-day work life when there is no sense of fulfillment or sense of joy in one's life.
And
how do you go about dealing with that?
How do you deal with that? Also, there's some serious physical things that happen when you're going through this. What I call it, and others call it, is the Ascension flu. So basically, when you're going through the wake-up process or going through the Ascension process, there's a whole bunch of names that you can call it, whichever it is, but it's all basically the same concept. Is we're releasing the density that allows us to kind of swim in the gross soup that we've created. So going to work without purpose, being trained little monkeys, all of a sudden the soul starts to shake the body up enough that it's like, we can't do this anymore. And so, like all cold symptoms, what it is it's a manifestation of a dis-ease or an illness or a thought process that isn't working in your sphere anymore. So the body has to release the toxins that have been created from living and thinking wrong. That makes sense? What I'm talking about? Yeah. So you're trying to basically. So some people will have the runs. Some people will literally have a cold.
Panic attacks, anxiety attacks, just hate waking up in the morning and dreading life, dreading going to work, dreading dealing with people and dealing with shallow conversations and dealing with, patterns and relationships that
don't serve anyone.
Are detrimental, are codependent, and it's like, it's going to affect first more intensely the highly sensitive people, right? The empaths, those who are more just sensitive in nature. Yeah. And it sucks at first, but it's a gift, because you're kind of like the canary in the coal mine for a lot of people. And that's also why it's much more intense for you, because you need to shed those layers much quickly so that you can get to those higher frequencies. The downfall is it makes living in the dense world very difficult, because it's hard to plug in and plug out anymore. And so how do you pay the bills and still get rid of your flu? For myself, that's where creativity comes in. So doing things that allow the energy to unwind in a different way. So I will paint, I will draw, I will sing, it's about movement too. So moving the body in much more gentler ways. Nothing with great intensity can be done. So just like if you're sick, you don't go out and run a mile, you slowly start moving again. Meditation and meditation movements, yoga, tai chi, qigong, these will all help ease the symptoms and allow your nervous system to calm down and allow it to sort of be able to integrate to the higher frequencies and not be as annoyed or frustrated with those people who are still stuck in that very dense life. A sense of humor is probably my saving grace. Is I just see the humor in the fact that these people are still stuck where they're stuck. I find the joke in it. Yeah, for me, a lot of it was about taking good care of myself, paying attention to my lifestyle choices, and creating the self-discipline in order to choose the lifestyle choices that is actually going to help to deal with, say, the anxiety and the stress. One of the things for me is luckily looking back in those years where I was working a lot of just regular jobs, I didn't force myself to try to fit in with my coworkers as much, even though, yes, I was spending more time by myself and was dealing with challenges of loneliness, but I'm very grateful I allowed myself to separate so that I can find and be in touch with my own energy, and then one layer at a time, change my relationship with myself, with my lifestyle, with the choices that I make, and become more and more aware of what choices help me feel lighter.
That's really important. That's really important to mention too.
Yes, exactly.
Right? You need, like, part of that reason you're going through that is so that you can start to separate from that that's not serving you. So you really have to be cautious of not beating yourself up for the fact that you can no longer hang out with the people you used to hang out with.
Yeah.
That's a true statement. You can't, you won't be able to. So you're going to go through periods of that loneliness because that's part of the shifting off.
But in that loneliness is where you can really start to befriend yourself, befriend your life, and there's through that start to fall in, like, experience true love and compassion for yourself by giving yourself permission to not need to conform or fit into normality or to cliques or to the popular groups or to any kind of conditions that was, conditioned or you're taught from society or, outside of yourself, if you will. Just that space is going to help you get in touch with, how your choices are affecting you and what you are what you are letting in terms of other people's ideas or beliefs affect you in a detrimental or negative way. So it'll help you become aware of those conditions that you have within yourself to just experience relaxation or experience peace or enjoying your life.
Yeah, it's important to look at this as a gift. We start beating ourselves up thinking that, oh no, I don't fit into that crowd. That's fabulous you don't fit there. That is like, thank God you no longer fit there, because that crowd is what's damaging themselves and you and our planet. So the fact that you no longer fit there is a spectacular gift to all of us.
Because there will always be people that don't mind living in the density, right? Those that are don't mind just distracting themselves and drinking their anxiety away, and that pattern of just going to work, forcing themselves to do stuff, but just and then gossiping and then playing with all the negativity, and then just going home and just watching TV and drinking and eating junk food and just numbing and just so. There's always going to be people holding that energy, especially in larger corporations and workplaces with more people. There's always going to be that there, but it's okay if you realize that is not how you want to live. And in fact, I'm sure most of us have tried it, and for me, it was painful to try to fit in so many areas. So slowly, it's about letting go of the need to fit in, to seem normal. So. And through that, as you are willing to just do things your own way, that's going to start to give you the strength and the courage and help you experience what it's like to start just being your own person and taking it more easier on yourself. And as you take lifestyle choices, that's going to be supportive of your overall energy, which affects your anxiety, and anxiety is simply generated by overstimulated nervous system. So whatever you can help yourself to soothe and heal and calm your nervous system is going to help everything.
So another thing with anxiety is energetically living too far in the future.
Yes.
Depression is living energetically too far in the past. So the more, and then again, that's the point of that ascension flu, is to bring you to present state. So those energies coming up are showing you that you've been living way too far in the future, and your system is running so hard to catch up to it, but it never can because you're always too far ahead. Now, if depression, you're living way too far in the past, and your body's trying to sink you back there, and it can't, of course. And that's kind of energetically what's going on. So to understand that when anxiety comes up, where am I moving too far forward? I have to breathe and bring myself here.
Or judging that you should be like enjoying normality or enjoying all that small talk or shallow way of being and relating, like comparing yourself to others and feeling like you should be enjoying or doing it like that.
9 times out of 10, and this is where, again, too, also being very gentle with yourself, but this is when you really start to look at yourself and people, because what I find is most people who think they're enjoying, if you really look at their energetic system and their conversation and their talk, they're not. So understand the fallacy of where they are as much as where you are. Yeah,
for me, there's just enough distractions and entertainment and to just be distracted by, really be like, so I mean, for me, like, audiobooks was something that was really beneficial for me. I started reading more and more in my 20s when I was really hating my jobs, right? Just gaining insight and different perspectives from people that have chosen a different path or that are helping people live in a different way and creating more of a sense of peace and freedom. Like for me, yoga teacher training, for example, was huge for me. Like before taking that training, I was so anxious and neurotic going to retail jobs, and just every single day was a struggle, was an anxious, torment. But afterwards, I started to take it easier, as I started to really allow that practice change my lifestyle in every single aspect, and I started to relax more and just to be myself, and therefore I achieved a lot of success in regular jobs. So it is about really changing your lifestyle, making choices and trying new things that help you feel a sense of groundedness, at peace with yourself, and empowering, uplifting your energy.
For myself, it was definitely nature, as much time outside in the trees. I'm a water person, so I always in the water is how I survived going through, and still that's my go-to for when symptoms come up. Art, drawing, dancing, so anything that allowed the creative energy to go through. Movement is really important for me. It was dancing, and not having to take classes, just putting on music and letting the body move the energy out.
Yeah, for me, because I lived in a city where I wasn't connected to nature much in my 20s. So the way I brought in nature was buying more organic dark leafy greens and making green smoothies and eating more organic vegetables and focusing on that, where I was putting into my energy, my system, more natural, more nature energies. And then through the art, I was allowing myself to allow my consciousness to open so that I can then enjoy different forms of art and be inspired by what art really is. More and more artists, like conscious artists, and creating uplifting energies rather than just the mainstream, mass-produced art culture, right? So that's how I started allowing my creativity, and then really just dancing to music I really enjoyed by myself, right? Just doing all these little things to help you move your energies, to start to, it's all about energy, so moving your energies, whatever you can.
What you're doing with the Ascension flow is you're shaking off the density. So whatever you need to do to shake off the density, and understand that you're relieving and releasing that heavy stuff that's held you stuck. And so what you're seeing and witnessing is all the things that help stuck. And then it's up to you to decide what you need to do and where you want to move. Do you sink back down into the depths, or do you start to remove yourself from the things that have kept you stuck? That's why this is a gift.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, the body there is to help guide you to a more peaceful, more aligned way of being and living. So be willing to listen and work and communicate. So paying attention to inner dialogue and starting to shift how you talk to yourself, with noticing where you're maybe parenting yourself or controlling yourself like you've been taught earlier in life. Yeah, so how about some just tips and suggestions? One of the things is, for me, it was learning to use my resources in order to create experience rather than, yes, there's comfort in having lots of money in the savings, but there's a stagnation that comes if you're purely focused on building material safety, and while your life's becoming more chaotic and anxious. So for me, actually using money to go to yoga teacher training or attending emotional workshops or buying books or spending more money on organic foods, it's about energy, using your energy to create experiences and uplift and raise your vibratory state of your life in all aspects.
You're gonna have to understand that you're gonna be going against the mainstream. And the wonderful thing is mainstream has been going upstream, making their life incredibly difficult. So for you, when you're going through this process, is you have to learn that you're no longer going down, you're going upstream with this collective. Your job is now to turn around and go in the proper direction of your life, which is downstream. which is what every ancient teaching is talking about. Go with flow, go with this. But that initial surge to get up, ahead, and around and over, this is the painful part. This is the part where you have to, and the reason you go up and over is because you have to look at this collective and really understand that where they're going is not functional. What they have been doing has been incredibly painful for all of them. And so you've got to do this. You're literally going to break out, take a look, and then start swimming against, you're going to start flowing down them. They're swimming up. They're going up for the death rattle, and you're going to start giving life. That means you're going to let go of all of what they carry and what they do. And so there's going to be a lot of anger and a lot of sadness and a lot of depression. And that means you're also going to come to grips with the fact that you are an emotional being, and that's how you co-create with the world, is through your emotions, through your emotional manifestations. So be kind to yourself. Find things that bring you joy and light you up to go through the process. Each person's way to go through it will be completely different, but the three things, mind, body, soul, make sure your altar, your body, is in total alignment with where you want it to be. So feed it the proper stuff it needs to be DNA. Eat lighter. That means you start dropping any dense food. And what I mean by that is work through letting go of eating your meat. Start with your reds, then go to your whites, then go to the fish, and then eventually eliminate it. I don't care what science says. I'm going to speak from a purely spiritual concept that releasing the meat is what's going to let all of those symptoms really let go. If you really want to dive deep into utilizing your intuitive gifts, you have to let go of the meat. Eventually, go through the process. It took me many years to get there. And that's okay. Then you're going to
first start with eliminating the processed stuff. You can just move into whole foods first, and then layer by layer. And don't worry, don't stop judging yourself. But what
do it slowly.
Those vegans out there say, but just supporting yourself.
Do it for you. Like, this is about doing it for you. So yes, definitely process first. Then you're going to go through. This is a process. You're starting a new process. So you're not going to be able to do this in a weekend. You can't become a weekend warrior being with an ascension flu or any of that stuff. This is about a process. So start where you are and do it slowly. Do it kindly. Do it lovingly. Do it respectfully. Do all those things that you need to make yourself feel comfortable. Just like if you had the flu, you don't yell at yourself because you're sick. You go, all right, I need more water. I need more nutrients. I need rest. Same concept you're going through, but you have a bigger, longer process to go through. Be creative, move the body, speak your truth. All of this comes into play. And that's what this first process of that ascension flu, that awaken flu is a recognition that you have been sick for a very long time. And it is a sickness. You have been stunk with the society sickness. And so you are now getting all of the flu bits to start helping you clean and heal.
Yeah, it's just like realizing that, it's a system that's self-destructive in that it's eating up nature in order to consume more, so it's about understanding that we are connected to nature, and if we're part of something that's actually destroying itself, then we're going to start to self-destruct. And that's where so much of the anxiety and the pain comes in, because when we're choosing things that are self-destructive, forcing ourselves to keep going down a path that's painful, then the anxiety and resistance within the self is going to continue to rise. So give yourself permission to first start to let go of judgment by learning different perspective and start to change your mentality, because all is mind. But really, like Saoirse was saying, mind, body, spirit. And for me, I like to think of the four bodies: the physical body, the emotional body, mental body, and then the spiritual. So taking good care of the physical and whatever you need to do in your way to start moving towards the next layer of, healthfulness, and recognize as you allow yourself to do that, that's where you're going to gain, the courage and that self-worth, so you can be kinder on yourself as you learn to do that. Taking good care of the physical will help to deal and process emotions and allow a greater energy flow through the heart, through your emotions, which will help to start to clear up the mental mind and mental body, and just being aware of what you take in into all your senses that's affecting the mental body. Like if you're watching news or junk TV or on social media all the time, be willing to disconnect, to experiment with what that feels like, taking a week detox or a weekend detox. So do it in your own way, one step at a time, and overall that's gonna, by taking care of the three bodies more and more, your spirit will come in more and will guide you and give you those epiphanies and steps and synchronicities.
Yeah, and about that too, no judgment to where you start.
Yeah.
Because I started spiritually, so I played up in the intuit. That's how I was born, and so I played up there for a really long time. And then I worked with the mental, really paying attention to what I was doing, and the heart. For me now, my last alignment is the physical. So it's getting the body and really understanding the worship of my altar and really cleaning up how it works, so the rest of it comes down, and relieving the shame and all of that good stuff about having the body I had and understanding how wonderful it is. And Daniel did a reverse. He started physical
because I had no idea I was a spiritual being. Yes,
no.
I was reading books on people who were talking about spirit, but I certainly did not believe that, didn't realize that was true for me necessarily. So, but it was cleaning up my physical to allow the density to be released enough so my belief system can realize what I truly am, which is energy and connected to spirit.
Yeah. So wherever you start, so if you choose to start spirit and then work your spirit, and then make sure that you, from taking it from my perspective, try and work them all at once, but start where you start is really important. Whether it's starting with physical, then working your way up, but understanding that you're going to have to start integrating all of them together to really become a functional being on the planet. And wherever you do, and if it's a few days of spiritual and a few days of physical, as long as you're understanding that your goal is to bring them all together in alignment, then you're on the right path all the time. Because we are here emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual beings. So you have to work with them all and work where you have movement at that moment. Right? It's really important to understand it doesn't mean, and it's not a checklist either. Oh, I've got my body. Oh, I've got this. It doesn't work that way either, because it's always shifting and changing and moving and molding and growing and expanding.
Yeah, and just recognize each of us has a completely unique spiritual path towards our freedom and light. So some of the most spiritual people I met are just people at regular jobs, cashiers, who are just loving their jobs and gave me such a good feeling by dealing with them, right? Like normal people have been the most spiritual people.
And that's really important to mention too. Mm-hmm. This awakening process that's coming now, this is the one, I'll speak from a Christian perspective right now. This is the one that Jesus was talking about when he was said in the Bible about this, and you shall do more than I do. And I can't remember the exact quote, but what he was really talking about in a lot of them is this is going to be everybody now is waking up. Everybody who's ready to waken up. So it's not going to be, it's no longer looking for the guru to follow. It's about us all coming to collectively together to raise above. So whatever you do to get there is your path. It's no longer following, Christianity, Muslim, whatever, Buddhism. It's not about that anymore. It's about learning yourself enough and taking really good, beautiful information from all of these, putting it together, and then vibrating to what you need to do. Yeah. That's really important to understand. And that's why when you're going through and letting the body go off, you can no longer be holding yourself to somebody else's standard, because their standard is their standard and your standard is your standard. And that's going to be a hard practice to get through.
Yeah, because it is about a holistic system. We are each holistic beings, and it's about each of us finding and developing our own spiritual system to our own freedom, enlightenment, upliftment, transformation towards our own sense of freedom and greater love and joy and creativity in life. So really just work with yourself, but also ask for help and support, and work with others, and try attending groups and whatnot. All those things help. So wherever steps you're ready to take, guide, encourage, and support yourself to taking them the best you can. Try your best and just let go of the rest.
Yeah, really important that be kind, be gentle, but you have to start moving now. Everything on the planet is about doing something now. And that's where the sense of urgency is coming up, is it's time to do something, anything. And I'm going to put a caveat in there, in the positive direction. Because you can be doing negative shit, which is predominantly what most people do, because it's sort of what we've left as our status quo. But anything that moves you in a positive direction, if it's adding extra fruit, if it's removing that extra coffee, if it's saying no to somebody that you normally say yes to, all of these are moving you in that lighter direction. If it lightens you up, that's where you head, as much as you can and as kindly as you can.
Yeah. And just addressing the lovely lady who asked this question. So, no matter what you need to do in order to feel safe at work or not, just give yourself that time and that permission to do what you need to do, right? Well, letting go of needing to fit in to the norm, or what coworkers or friends might think. Just that self-compassion. Really allow yourself that space to give yourself that self-compassion.
And you don't need to explain this to other people either. This is not about explaining your journey to other people unless they're open to it. Don't explain your journey to people who are not open, because they'll just shit on it. So explain it to those who are open, but understand that this is your process and you need to go through it and honor it as much as you can. Yes, we've still got to pay the bills, so protect yourself how you need to go through it, but go through it.
Yeah, and one of the things is to be the willingness to be really honest with yourself about how you feel, about where you're at, and about the fact that you're judging yourself or confused about to go. Just writing that stuff down will help to start move the energy, so the solutions and the steps and the universe can connect you with the people that can help you with that. And the more you're willing to be honest with yourself, and through that give yourself compassion and support yourself, the more you'll be able to then start connecting to people that are on similar journeys, and then you can express your authenticity or truth to. And that's where the next layer of healing will begin. But first, just really take good care with yourself and develop that personal self-intimacy and create that self-compassion. And then find people to have that mutual win-win exchange with, and then it'll start building more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Self-compassion. Yeah.
And
you have a flu. Be nice to yourself.
Yeah. And like allow yourself relaxation and joy and peace and rest wherever you can. It really is about that. It's really about creating energy now wherever you can, in terms of the life that you would love to experience. Wherever you can, start creating that now, like bubble baths, just time out in nature, enjoying music that you love, right? Even if you have vices, even if you have tons of vices that you know you want to let go of, give yourself permission to let go of the judgment with even experiencing some of that, and layer by layer, and then maybe choose to take a lighter vibration of some of those vices, and then bit by bit be willing to start shifting that, and then add the good stuff, and then you'll realize you can so let go of the lower vibration and more negative stuff that much easier by not judging yourself or resisting what you
resist persists is a classic saying, and it's really true. What you resist persists. So if you're trying really hard to not do something, that thing will always come forward.
So just add good stuff and better stuff, and then
add more.
More and more you'll find you don't need what you thought you needed in order to get through life.
And it's really important what you said. Life is lived in the pauses. So that we overstimulate ourselves with too much stuff, and we overschedule ourselves. Start removing stuff off your schedule. Find at least 20 minutes a day where you just sit with yourself. Don't do anything, or have a cup of tea. But that's really important, because God or gods or whatever can't talk to you unless you're still.
Yeah, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us. That was a nice, long, detailed video. So if you have any questions, about this whole transformation, ascension process, awakening process we're all going through, feel free to give us a shout. Thank you so much for joining us. Take good care.
Bye.